Hello and welcome to the Monday, October 24th edition of Lead at Any Level Live. I'm your host, Amy C. Wanninger, and I'm the founder and CEO of Lead at Any Level. Today, I want to talk to you about something that is a little bit hard for me to admit, although I think everybody around me knows it to be true. And that is, I am a workaholic. I tend to focus in on work and almost to the exclusion of everything else in my life sometimes. And for those of you that struggle with this, if you're not afraid to do so, let me know in the comments. But I want to talk about the impact that, being a little bit addicted to achievement and a lot addicted to achievement, but that being a workaholic really has on me, on my health. And if you are a leader, what this is doing to you, but also what it might be doing to your employees, and why taking a vacation, a real vacation, is a big leadership opportunity for those of us who are work enthusiasts, let's say. So let me know in the comments where you're watching this, where you're from, and I'll try to actually see the comments this time. So for those who don't know, if you're my client, you definitely knew this because I let everybody know in advance. If you're following very closely on social media, you may know I took a real vacation last week. I was gone for about 10 days. I took my 3 kids to Walt Disney World. This was a dream that I'd had since I was a little kid. We had a friends of our family that went to Disney. They stayed on the Walt Disney property. They went for a whole week. They took their whole family. And I thought, man, someday when I've really made it, I'm going to do that for my family. And so I was able to go, hi, Kelly from Trumbull, Connecticut. Nice to see you. And so I've been saving up for this trip for a long time because if you don't know, Disney's not the most cost-effective family vacation. And we were all set to go last year, right after we all got our COVID vaccines. We were ready to go. We were so excited. And then the Delta variant spiked, and Florida was kind of the epicenter of the Delta variant. And my husband said, no way, absolutely, we're not going. And I cried. I was literally in tears when I called to kick our reservation out from 2021 fall break to 2022 fall break. The poor woman on the Disney hotline was like having to kind of listen to me through sobs saying, we can't go this year. So, saving up for years, I really planned this vacation. I wanted it to just go perfectly. Well, my husband kind of decided at the last minute that he didn't want to go for personal reasons. And we were scheduled to go, just me, my 3 kids then, and my parents. And we were first going to fly, then we were going to drive. Like, it was just very complicated, right? The whole thing was just very complicated. Delta, airline tickets went way up, like 5 times what they were a year ago. It was crazy. And so it just kind of we just kind of kept getting thrown wrenches in the mix, right? But I was so looking forward to this trip. Was that nothing is going to stop me from taking this trip and enjoying it. And, the last month I've been a little distracted, honestly, because I just couldn't wait, right? We had the countdown timer going, and, every day we would talk about how many days were left and what we were going to pack. And we just, what we were going to do when we got there. And you need to understand, my kids are very spread out in age. I have a 20-year-old son, a 14-year-old son, and a 6-year-old daughter. And I promise that this whole talk isn't going to be about the trip, but I'm setting this up because you need to understand something if you are a workaholic leader like me. So here's what happened. We went down there for we were at the parks for 7 days. We ended up driving. We had the best time. We had so much fun. But aside from the fun, here's what I did on that trip. I remembered almost every day that I needed to take medication because my stress levels from working as hard as I do have caused me to, quite frankly, have some health problems. I have a vitamin D deficiency. I have really, really high blood pressure. I suffer from anxiety and depression, for those of you who don't know that. And I'm on medication for all of those things and supplements for all of those things. So I remembered every day to take my medication, almost every day. And I also got the sleep that I needed while I was there. One night I was so tired, I fell asleep at 5:30 p.m. I did not wake up until almost 7 the next morning. And my 20-year-old had to take care of the 6-year-old because I was out. I could not get her dinner. I could not get her in bed. I was just dead asleep to the world. Um, I walked about 8 miles a day on that trip. Disney is big. We saw everything. We did everything, some of it twice. And I walked about 8 miles a day. Normally, my normal average, I was looking on my iPhone, it has your step history. Normally, I walk about a mile and a half a day, and mostly that's to go to the bathroom or to get more coffee. So I don't really get a lot of steps in on an average day because I'm usually sitting here at my desk. I spent time with my kids, like really spent time with them and really talked to them and played and had fun and giggled uncontrollably and ate junk food and was completely irresponsible. And I talked my 6-year-old through her fears about riding some of the bigger rides. And, I listened and I was just so present for those days. And that was the goal of the trip. When my therapist asked me, "What do you want to do on this vacation?" I said, "I just want to be present with my kids." I wasn't on my phone except just a little tiny bit when we were in line. I didn't even open my computer while I was there. That's the first vacation I've ever gone on that I didn't even open my computer. I don't think I responded to any emails except for one, which was a very quick turnaround with my virtual assistant for an invoice. I think that's the only email I responded to all week with anything but an out of office message. And the reason I am telling you all of this is, number one, the detriment to my health for being a workaholic for this long is certainly having an impact. And if you are a leader and you are similarly poised as someone who would rather work than do almost anything else, please look to your health, because I've let mine go for far too long and I'm finally starting to turn that back around. But two, I want you to think about the impact that being a workaholic has, not just on you and not just on your family, but on your team. And here's why. As a leader, you set the tone for your team, whether your team is you, whether your team is you and 4 people who report to you, whether your team is you and a project team of dozens of people or a department of hundreds. You set the tone as the leader. And if your employees see you working around the clock, they think that you expect that of them. And if they see you working on vacation, they think you expect that of them. And if they see you responding to emails at 10 o'clock on a Sunday evening, they think you expect that from them. Now, I'm going to stop and say some of you may expect that from them, and that's not okay. We need to make sure that our expectations of our employees are that they get to be humans first and they get to live their lives and spend time with their families and think about things other than work and close their laptops, for goodness sake, and maybe even log out of email and not check to see if you are on the Slack channel looking for them as your boss. That is the number one thing, is that we need to recognize that the people that work for us are people first. And while work may be a big portion of their life, work is not their life. And this is something that I need to remind myself of constantly. Because for me, if I'm not careful, work becomes my whole life. And I need to remember, for me and for my family and for the people that I work with and for my clients, that that's not the case. That what's really important is my family and my health. And all this work business is super important to me, but it can all wait while those other things are taken care of, at least occasionally. So the message for you today as an inclusive leader is, number one, monitor your own health. If you're working hard all the time, give yourself a break. Model giving yourself a break, not just for you, but for your family and your team. Remind yourself what's really important. And, honestly, I got to see myself as somebody different on this trip, somebody I haven't seen in myself in a long time, somebody who eats junk food for breakfast and can walk 10 miles in a day without wearing out. And, somebody who can, play Rock Band at the arcade or, Guitar Hero at the arcade and be silly in front of other human people that I don't even know, and be silly with my kids. But they also got to see that from me, and they're not used to seeing that. It was a lot of fun. But here's the thing, your employees need to see that too. They need to see you letting go. And this is important for so many reasons. Number one, it sets the example of what they're allowed to do. And that is so important. Because if you don't take a break when you're on break, if you don't take time off when you're on vacation, they think they can't either. Number two, they need to know that you see them and value them first as a person, and second as an employee or as a worker or as a professional. Because if they don't feel like you're valuing them as a human first, they're not going to stick around. They're going to go somewhere where they're valued as a human first, and then as a professional or as a worker, as an employee. And then finally, it's important that you are not just honoring, but encouraging your employees to take breaks, to take personal time, to take their earned vacation. Even if you're in a company where you have unlimited paid time off, monitor and make sure that your employees feel safe and feel comfortable taking time off when they need it and taking as much time as they need or as policy allows. When we give people unlimited time, but then we never let them take it, or when we give them 4 weeks off in a year, but the expectation, the unwritten rule is that you don't take your vacation, or you let it carry over, or you cash it out at the end of the year, or you just lose it because that's what we do on this team. You are really robbing your employees of their lives, not just their livelihood, right? Their livelihood is their work, but of their real lives. And you're separating them from their humanity, and that is not okay. So give your employees a chance to take a vacation, to take a break, to log out, to let stuff go for a week or 2 weeks. And, this is a great opportunity for you as the leader to do cross training, to have contingency plans, to do some succession planning, to make sure that your team members are up to speed on what each other are doing, to make sure that they appreciate one another. And use vacations as an opportunity, not just to reward people for the hard work that they've done and to honor their humanity, but also as a professional development opportunity for the team around them. Because if one person is out and they're on a mission critical project and someone else can step up into that role for a couple of weeks before, during, and after, now you've just cross-trained somebody. You've given them some exposure. You've given them a chance to build their skills and their networks in a way that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise done. And so this opportunity to take a vacation or to take a sabbatical, or for goodness sake, to take a day or a weekend off is so critical to our ability to keep going for the long term. So again, I am a self-proclaimed, openly admit, I work too much, I work too hard, I work too many hours. And this was true when I worked in a corporate setting, and it's certainly true as I'm running my own business. But I need to be mindful of the example I'm setting for the people around me and what I'm telling others about my expectations of them and about who I am, frankly. Now, thank you for sticking with me through all of this. I hope that you have a vacation planned. One of the things that I tell people in my presentation on change that I do for conferences and corporate events is that the happiest we ever are is when we're planning a vacation. And I certainly felt that in the year plus leading up to this one. So if you don't have a vacation planned, my challenge to you is to plan one, even if it's just a weekend somewhere. Get away, reconnect to yourself, to the people that you love, to the people that love you. Excuse me. Sorry. I haven't been doing a lot of talking other than screaming on rides for the last week. Okay, so let me talk about what's coming up this week, because you're going to have some things that you don't want to miss. So Lead at Any Level Live, that's this show, is Monday at noon Eastern, just about every week, unless something comes up that I can't avoid. So you'll want to join me next week on Monday right here at noon Eastern. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. Or is it Rena? I'm sorry, I can't remember which way you pronounce it. Hold on. Sorry. Thank you. Yes, put yourself first. Absolutely. Oh gosh. And it's so hard. Be patient. If you work with a workaholic, be patient with us. We really do want to be humans. We just forget how sometimes. So thank you, Kelly, for letting me know that this was a perspective you're not used to. So this week, every weekday at 4 p.m., I'm going to share with you 5 dimensions of culture that you need to be watching as an inclusive leader. And they also happen to be 5 dimensions of culture that are measured by an inclusion assessment that I provide called the SDIA, or Spectrum Diversity Inclusion Assessment. These are 5 dimensions of culture, 3 of them organizational, 2 of them individual, that determine who feels included in your organization and who doesn't and why. So you won't want to miss that. I'll be elaborating on one of those each day this week at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday at noon Eastern, you'll want to tune in right here for the Including You video podcast. This week, I'll be talking to Director Taisha Green. She is the Director of Racial Equality for the City of Minneapolis. She took that position after the murder of George Floyd, and she talks about, her mandate, the scope of her responsibilities, and how you step into a department like that at a time like that with a team that pretty much she had to build from the ground up again. So it's a fascinating conversation. You won't want to miss that. And if you do miss it on Thursday, you can catch it on the replay on my YouTube channel, Lead at Any Level, or you can tune into the Living Corporate podcast on Friday, where it will be an audio podcast as part of the Living Corporate podcast series. So thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate your engagement. I appreciate you indulging me and talking about my my Disney trip. You'll see my little Mickey ears all week this week because I am just enamored with the experience and the magic that they provide there. And just the time that I spent with my family was just invaluable. So thanks, everyone. I look forward to engaging with you more this week. And let me know in the comments if you have a vacation coming up, when and where. I would love to know what you have planned. You don't have to give me too many details on social media, but let me know what you've got planned. If you've got something coming up in the near future, or if this video has inspired you to plan something. I really hope that you take a break, connect to what matters, and find something new that's true about you. Bye.